Yeah.
It's 76, 77 degrees up there in the day over there.
My thing that scares me.
But how's your crew doing with this? It's hard to work.
It is, but you know, the trick is you get out there before the sun comes up. So
Spot that's just for her.
6:15.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah. Yourself through it all
Of
day.
course you have a Hawaiian shirt on. Of course you do.
I can go work out in it all day if I get up before the sun comes up.
Of course you
All
have.
day in it. But if I, you know, the weekends I'll walk outside at 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's the first time I've been outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we just drink a lot of water and we're not as productive as we usually
Yeah.
are.
It's
I
changed.
used to
It's
do it
changed.
in the morning. Cause we used to do it, my wife and I would go to walk, we used to do it at night, but now we have to wait till like 10 p.m.
Yeah,
It's like, it's just not relentless. It's all day, all day. So I'm like, it just, because I started working like 7 o'clock.
Especially today. We're healthier.
Wake up at 6:30.
21, 22 texture, but it's FY.
Yeah, that's the key. Are you puppies?
Well, I can get my chair in because I have to raise it up.
All good. I trust this one.
Yeah, you know, they're kind of household.
Did you ask for a 2XL or an XL?
Yes.
But yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that bad.
Sheriff.
Morning, sir.
And that's the thing, is that this year, when,
Big.
you know, when oldest people see us start,
Yeah, she's in. I think she's stuck in traffic.
and they'll be like, we're running.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, so I just walk out and decide to wait here on a perfect January
This
day.
is-
You go to Walmart this lunch, you get back home in an hour.
Not feeling that way right now.
Yeah. Give it a-
Yeah, so I'm planning on.
This is just, they just wanted the,
So now I can go to the
Mailbox.
board again, but they have like crazy people, like 110, 150. It gets hot, but I don't think for them it's also humid, so it's like double win.
Right.
It's 100.
they wouldn't even let us repair
That's
it.
what's scary when people get a heat wave that
I know.
used to dealing with it, people die.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
But luckily only maybe like 6 or 8 more weeks out.
Then the plans for your dog are easier.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely makes it more pleasant.
Zach, you know, was hunting
Learn about it easier, but more
It's
pleasant.
hard to come back from. That one was fantastic. It really was.
So where all did y'all go?
Amsterdam, Italy, and we went to Santorini and Mykonos.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. It
Yeah,
was
just
one
color
of
me jealous.
Right? It was a good time. I highly recommend it.
You know, we were watching some show the other night and they were in Rome and showed the Colosseum and stuff. And I was like, I'm not big wanting to go to Europe. There's too many things here I'd like to see. But it was like, that is the one place in Europe I want to go.
Yeah, it was pretty remarkable. We were only there for 2 nights. You know, so you've been there, done that at least.
Where'd you stay?
Gosh. If you hadn't asked me, I could have told you. Right smack dab in the middle of town, which is try to be as central as humanly possible.
Someone just told me that the Hilton is close to the Vatican and you can watch it at Venice.
We were, I feel like we went to the Vatican and it was maybe a 10-minute drive. We talked to the church, but they're doing everything on the schedule now. So
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
getting over there. But, yeah.
Was it easy enough to catch an Uber?
The Ubers are super, yeah, they're very above. Yeah.
Sorry.
Not the cheapest in the world, but definitely a little more pricey over there, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's just, my friend just got back from Hawaii and she said it was.
No, that's what, yeah. This is our proposal, so we need to fix it.
No rental cars
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
Ubers were.
Yes.
They did it, they managed, but, you know, things hold up. We're going, next summer, we're going to London, Italy, and maybe France and Portugal.
Yes.
Can't quite decide if we're going to do France and Portugal also for the last minute invitation. So,
That's cool.
be a great trip.
I've never been. So I'm excited.
No time with the president.
Yeah. Thank you. You probably ignore your wife. I know you're not ignoring me.
No, that's true, I believe.
Sign check. That's,
We don't need that yet.
I have this one that's turquoise. If you want that one instead, I think you might supposed to sign it.
I'll be sure. There's no rush. Put that tree shade in there. Okay, next time I'm gonna call it apart. You don't have to go to any round rock and turn around. Yeah.
Time is 6:06. This meeting of the Fernbluff Municipal Utility District Board of Directors is called to order. Roll call of directors. All directors are present this evening. Director Smith, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
Sure. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Smith. I want to go ahead and skip to our landscaper first thing off the bat, and then we'll get back to the regular course of business. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it. It's that time of year where this is gonna be really quick, because it's super hot out there, and there's not a lot going on. Trying to keep the landscape hydrated and our guys hydrated, but one of the main points I wanted to touch on in this meeting is I feel like we're still a little bit behind in the green belts. We're working hard to get caught up on that. We've been trying to send the guys out half-day Mondays to get caught up. Last Monday it rained us out for doing that. And I feel like the rain that we've had over the summer is just making it to a point to where by the time we get back, over to a green belt. It's probably a little longer than it normally is this time of year. Normally all those native grasses in those areas have kind of almost gone dormant because it's gotten hot and we haven't had a lot of rain. This year has been a little bit different. So, you know, I just wanted you to know that we're aware of that. We're working very hard to kind of get you caught up on that. Tree work that was approved has been completed. That was removing a couple of small ash trees and then the big tree over at Friendly. That's all been completed, and we are going to be giving a fall tree update, or an update on the trees in the fall, on ones that we feel like either need to be cut down or that we need to be more patient on. I have been keeping track of what A&M Forestry Service has been saying, and they just came out within the last couple of weeks, and this would be good for homeowners as well. They said, you know, if you look at the canopy of a tree and draw a circle around it, if there is less than 25% of that tree canopy that has green leaves on it, it's probably going to die, or it's in the process of dying. If it has more than that, it's worth waiting and seeing. So me and Brian are going to go around to all the parks and take a look at those trees that have come out a little weird like that, and kind of make a determination on ones that we feel like need to have more patience, and we'll wait until the spring. And it could be that we come back to you all and say, hey, let's just wait until spring on all of these, especially live oaks. I do think ash trees and some of these other trees that have leafed out a little bit are probably going to end up dying. We cut those ones down over there at Fernbluff Park for that reason. So I'm keeping up with best practices coming out of the A&M Forestry Service on all of this, and so we're going to go around and do a really thorough evaluation on all the trees and give y'all a report here either this next coming up meeting or the meeting after that. And we'll come together and make a determination on how we want to proceed with that. We're going to begin the cutbacks on the perennials where appropriate in preparation for the fall. That's going to be started next week, so it might look a little ragged in some areas, but that's just because we come back, cut plants back in preparation for them to look pretty for the fall. And then some minor irrigation problems that were identified during the most recent check, those have been fixed. We are in a summer watering schedule still, obviously, with it being as hot as it is, but here in the next 6 to 8 weeks, we'll start to look at tapering that off depending on the weather. But that's really about all I have for you this month. Not a lot going on. It's just trying to keep the landscape alive and ourselves alive while we're doing it. So if anybody has any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Okay, Jess, I meant to make copies of it, and I'll send it to you. We got the greatest email from a gentleman that doesn't live here but drives by here all the time. I was heading to my truck the other day, and he was just kind of wandering around looking at our landscaping, and he's looking for ideas for his home. He's like, I pass this all the time, so he's out there. And I asked him if he had seen our butterfly gardens, and he's like, no, we're, you know. So I told him where, and he sent an email to the district just saying, it's amazing. I'm telling everybody I know that they need to go to the Fernbluff MUD because their parks and especially the butterfly gardens are outstanding. So.
Oh, that's awesome. We were actually there working recently, and somebody across the ditch made it a point when they saw us working over there to walk all the way through that field, that tall grass, and come over there and talk to us just to say that him and a bunch of people on the street had come over there and used a lot of the plants that are in that demonstration garden in their own landscapes, and that it was doing really well, and they were so appreciative of that. So I love hearing that stuff. So yeah.
Me too, and I'm glad we did all the sign.
Yeah,
sign
yeah,
levels.
absolutely.
That was a really
Yeah,
good-
absolutely. Well, like we said, you know, the more knowledgeable people in the community are about their landscaping, and a little bit of help that we can give for that, I mean, it just makes the whole community look better, so.
I hate to bring this up, but we had talked some time ago about getting all those plans on a website so
Yes.
that people can actually learn more
Yeah, you're
about
looking
it.
for a database, correct? Like just a database of the plants that we have there.
Just a list with a link or something to where you can get more information about that plant. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, Mark, I'll pick back up on that. It got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
And honestly, we lost some of the plants that we had planted there during the winter. And we've gone back in and repopulated that with some different plant material and stuff. So I'll go through and I'll get a list together. But yeah, that's my fault. I dropped the ball on that. I'm sorry.
If you can get the list, I mean, if you have easy links to find more information, cool. If not, I mean, I can do some research on those too.
Okay.
I do have a computer, believe it or not.
Oh, that's good. Awesome. And know how to use it, huh? Well, you'd probably be better at that than me, so I can give you the list and a link to kind of the information that would be pertinent to the people who would be over there, and maybe you could handle it after that.
I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it as always, and we'll see you soon. All right. All right. Take care.
All right. Next item on the agenda is citizens communications. We have 3 folks signed up to speak tonight. So just a recap, this is citizens communications, your one time during the meeting where citizens can talk to the board. It's not an interactive session, but it's a time for us where we can hear your concerns and your ideas. We ask each speaker to limit their remarks to 2 minutes. When we get to the minute 30 mark, I'll hold up the green sheet briefly for you to see, and then when we get to 2 minutes, I'll hold up a yellow sheet, and that's your signal to wrap it up. And after that, if I need to give you a little auditory help, ask you to wrap it up, that's what we'll do. So, first speaker tonight, Miss Trina Deschamps, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Trina. Can y'all hear me on this?
Yeah.
I can't hear you on this. So, I live at 8344 Glen Canyon. Just had a couple of things to just say. First, I emailed Director Sabatino about understanding Stone Canyon has a HOA, Oak Brook has a HOA, and when they get fined, I believe those fines go to their HOA. If we're gonna start fining Fernbluff residents, my question was, where do those fines go? And his response was, it goes to the general fund. So I guess the general fund is to be used by the Fernbluff MUD for all 3 neighborhoods, I'm assuming, since there's nothing separate, since we don't have HOA. My second thing is this new certificate of order that y'all just passed last time. Director Sabatino signed that. Part of that says that everything above is true and correct. My understanding is that there was 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3 A's, 1 no. That no was Director Smith. Director Smith was not present at that meeting. So it was Director Barnes, I believe, who was the no, but it is on this form. So I don't know.
Oh, that would be my mistake then. If did I put Director Smith there?
Yes.
That's a no. That's a clerical error.
So,
That's my mistake.
I figured.
I'll
I just
correct that.
thought I might want to correct it. So.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Trina. Next up, I have Nick Stewart. Floor is yours for 2 minutes, sir.
All right. Hello, I'm Nick Stewart at 17512 Highland Falls Drive. I'm here today to once again bring attention to the massively flawed conduct of the current board directors and general manager of the Fernbluff MUD. There continues to be a very vocal resistance to the new order that was recently passed without any majority ruling vote by the affected constituents in the Fernbluff neighborhoods, section 1 and 2. There continues to be many questions our residents have regarding the decisions. Sorry. There continues to be many questions our residents have. Sorry, Hector. No worries. Apologize, y'all. I'm not the greatest speaker, as y'all know.
No worries.
So, anyways, there continues to be many questions our residents have regarding the decisions of the MUD board directors and general manager, despite an attempt by some concerned neighbors to get clarification. There continues to be no effective communication between taxpayer and tax-paid governing entity. There continues to be a lot of costs involved with what seems to be painfully extracted information that might justify or at least give some faith in the actions of the MUD board members and general manager. There continues to be an absolute refusal for certain information, even after having to hire a private attorney to send a letter to the MUD's attorney refuting the legitimacy of the current Architectural Control Committee, as well as the definition of unsightly items, which has recently been updated to justify all the spent effort and anguish over a damn car cover. I propose a lot of changes to be considered. Mind you, this entire dialogue and what I have to say is my opinion and my perspective of everything that's been going on. for the last 2.5 years, mind you. Freedom of information. No taxpayer should have to spend a tremendous amount of money to receive any information regarding the operations and financials of the MUD. I understand that personal information needs to be redacted from any requested document from the MUD, but if proper office management as well as proper financial record keeping existed within this MUD, this cost to receive information should be minimal. My wife and I paid $150 for financial statements for the last 5 years and received very untidy records, including handwritten receipts or no supporting receipt statements to correlate with the expenditures. This was not a fulfilled request for information that we requested, and when mentioning so, we were asked to pay an additional $450 for balance sheets, P&Ls, ledger, etc. It should not cost as much to see where our tax money is going, especially in a very small localized governing body. Number 2, board members. I do not have any faith in any board members that currently preside over a seat. My wife, myself, and several other neighbors have tried to correspond with our representatives to no avail. Either the emails or other forms of communication, including this ridiculous citizens communication segments of the board meetings, result in either no response or a lame, lazy, uneventful response that never gets followed through. Quite frankly,
Mr. Stewart, can you wrap it up, please?
yes, sir, just a little bit longer. Quite frankly, it almost seems to be a puppet show and only one person really calling shots within our district, that person being our general manager. I highly encourage our neighbors to start reflecting on their qualifications and love for our community and throw a hat in the ring. I believe we can have a better leadership. Also including in-house management, going into that, number 3, I strongly believe there seems to be a very potent conflict of interest regarding the general management position being held by one of our neighbors. I would like for the community to consider a neutral third-party management company to oversee the record keeping, bookkeeping, all financials, and correspondence with our neighbors.
Sir, I need you to wrap it up. You have 2 minutes. Do you have a summary statement?
Yes, sir, this is it. I believe this will promote more financial transparency and mitigate any hidden agendas. I would also like to propose bringing the landscaping in-house. I think Hector and his crew are great at what they do and should have the opportunity to continue serving our community, as well as potentially expanding their crew to take on landscaping with proper equipment provided to us by the taxpayers. Just some food for thought. And again, my opinion only.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Our third speaker for tonight and final, unless anyone signs up at the last second, is Mr. Yorm.
Hello, on a completely different topic. As you guys know, we are in stage 5 COVID. I can tell you from family in Israel that the vaccine is only 40% effective, unfortunately, for getting it. If you get it, there's 98% chance that you won't die, but that's pretty bad. I think we want to consider maybe either requiring masks, I know that's not very popular, or move back to doing this online. And I would really appreciate if you guys take that into consideration, because again, I'm vaccinated and I'm still wearing a mask. It's crazy out there, and I don't want anybody here to get sick, because again, it's only 40% effective against the Delta, and I don't know about the Epsilon or whatever the next number. So I would highly recommend we all think about it, and if possible, yeah, let's just put those on when we're here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. All right. Next item on the agenda, items to be removed from the consent agenda. Ms. General Manager, are there any?
I have nothing to remove.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion approved by Director Tiber, seconded by Director Smith. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Consent agenda is passed. Agenda item 8A, new business, draft budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2022. Director Barnes, would you like to address this?
Yes. So the budget committee have met a couple of times, and we have come up with this draft budget for your approval, directors. Well, I say we with the help of Jamie and Hector. So it is, the first thing that you may notice on the draft budget is that the suggested tax rate has been lowered to 0.25. I think that we voted on this last meeting. but it is reflected in the budget. The budget is very, very well laid out. A couple of things that the budget does reflect is it does reflect a 3% cost of living raise for all employees of the district, with the exception of the general manager. The general manager is going to maintain her current salary. It also reflects a 5% increase for our operations manager. And I don't know, Zach, do we need to vote on those increases separately, or?
No, sir, you can look at the budget as a whole, the draft budget as a whole, and then vote
Okay.
accordingly afterwards.
You'll also notice on a couple of the sheets, it does show some capital projects that we were not able to do last year because of the pandemic, which we have been requested to lay out. Most of it park renovations, some technology, and audio-visual upgrades for the community center. And is there anything I'm leaving out, Janie?
Not leaving anything out.
One thing to correct, we did not vote on the budget last month.
We did not vote on
We're
it.
gonna vote on the
No,
budget
we
tonight.
just discussed it.
We just
We
discussed.
just discussed
Okay.
it, specifically the tax rates, I recall, but,
Okay.
we're gonna vote on the entire budget tonight.
Okay.
I distributed the budget to each of you, but the one that's on the dais is different. We had the meeting with the city of Round Rock yesterday, so we do know what our increases are going to be over the next 3 years, because they just completed their rate study. Those changes are reflected in that new budget I gave you. That's right.
That's for the base rate and the volumetric tier 1 and tier 2?
That's right. It's effectively, as everyone probably remembers, we did not have any increases from the city of Round Rock last year, none. So, because they knew they were gonna be doing this rate study this year. So, it will be for 22, 23, and 24. What we did do is take a very deep dive into our water revenues and our sewer revenues. And over the last few years, we've been anticipating that the regional system and the upgrades and all that they were doing there, that our district would be responsible for a portion of those costs. We didn't know. I mean, it's a $110 million project. We did not know what our responsibility would be. We do now, but we have been planning for it, for a number of years. So if you notice at the top of the budget, the large sheet. Actually, no, look at the calculator, it's much easier. The very first page, we've made an adjustment for the base water rate. That is the rate that every homeowner is charged every month to receive water service. I recommend that we take that from $16.25 per house to $17.25, but lower the wastewater base rate from $7.25 to $6.25. So really, it's just a switch of the dollar there. And then there are minor adjustments in the volumetric rate. Tier 1 on our water would go from $3.50 per thousand to $3.60 per thousand. Tier 2, which is over 15,000 gallons used in a month, would go from $3.95 per thousand to $4 per thousand. If you look at the bottom of the calculator, you'll see an average bill calculation for someone that uses, I guess it's 12,000 gallons of water in a month. Basically, these changes and these increases will make a $1.83 difference in a homeowner's bill. Now, you use less water, it'll be less than that. You use more water, it'll be more than that. But on the average bill, it'll be $1.83.
Average over all 12 months, or like average in a summer month, or average in a?
That's just on an average bill. Of course, it's going to go up in the summertime.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so that's not
That would be-
$1.83 on average, for the average homeowner on a summer bill?
No, it's just taking
You average
the-
it out over every month. Okay.
That's exactly right. I'm sorry, say it again.
Annual average.
That's exactly
Okay,
right.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yes. Trying to think what else, any other adjustments we made here. We do think that we've got an issue with the calculations with our second tier. Several years ago, we tried to, differentiate between how many gallons are sold under tier 1, how many gallons are sold under tier 2. It's a moving target, if you will. Last year, tier 2 was high. This year, we are tracking tier 2 as low. And I believe it's because of the weather. So over the next several months, I mean, you can just look at what we've been using, over the next couple of months, Hector and I are going to kind of look at this even better, or deeper, that's a better word. But this is a very good number that we have right here. But we'll have a little more information, a little more data as we get through the rest of this year.
So this number is what you proposed for us with the increase in the price of water.
That's exactly
You
right.
think this will suffice? And
Absolutely.
If it needs to be revised, you'll come back to us, but.
Absolutely, and I don't think we will. I'm just saying for our own information,
Right.
it's good for us, we're kind of picky about it. We really like to know what those hard and fast numbers are. And we do think that it's in the tier 2. And it may just be our residents are much more environmentally conscious and they're not using as much water, even with their irrigation. And that's a good thing. We just need to be able to look at a little bit longer period of time with the data because we're right in the middle of summer right now. But this is a very good number that I'm recommending. We're still very competitive with others around us. Some of their base rates are higher. Most of their per 1,000 gallons, their volumetric rates are higher than ours. Brush Creek specifically, they are not, but they do have their own water plant, so they can control that much easier. But the meeting yesterday with the city of Round Rock was quite good. They've been quite fair. I have no issue with their rate study this year, and I have no issue with their proposed increases.
Okay. Random question, and if you don't have the data, that's fine. Any idea, so for a typical summer month, and a typical, the lowest, winter month, any idea what percentage of our users are hitting that tier 2 volumetric?
We were just talking about that today.
And if you don't know, that's fine.
No.
So on average, it's very low. When we budget for about 72 accounts meeting that threshold. And this,
That's not many, okay.
That's not many.
Out of almost 2,000.
And this year being such an anomaly, I mean, our average, our monthly average, for the last 3 years has been right at 12,000 gallons, give or take several hundred. This year, we're tracking at 10. So, I mean, it's affecting the revenue side of the budget, but because that tier 2 number hasn't been met, it's skewing our revenue.
I see.
So we're just trying to tweak that number
Because
down.
you're expecting 72 accounts to hit the tier 2.
Right.
For
And we've had
several
rain,
hundred.
we've had a lot of rain, which, even for our landscaping stuff, it's created some issues, so, yeah, but we're working at tweaking that number to
Okay.
get
Good.
it down.
Excellent.
And normally, the increases in the water use starts in around April. People turn on their irrigation systems, they're planting new shrubs, etc. That did not happen this year until late June. So it has kind of, skewed the numbers, if you will. So it'll be good to look at a whole year. Last year was an anomaly. I don't need to tell anybody that. It was just an anomaly all the way around. I expected water use to go way down. To go way up because of all the hand washing and all of that everyone was doing. Yet, there wasn't a huge increase. So, we'll look at it and come back to the board and let you know what we find.
Director Barnes, anything else, General Manager, anything else in the budget from you, or Director Barnes? Proposal?
I don't have anything else. I would like to go ahead and make the motion that we accept the draft budget for 21, 22.
I have a question. Do you want me to wait till discussion or ask now?
Let's get a second for this. Is there a second for Director Barnes' motion? A second by Director Stemco? All right, no, please proceed, Director Stemco.
Does this budget include, the ability to hire an additional staff member if we find that necessary?
Yes.
I believe that that is included in the administrative section.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Just to remind everyone that we are reducing we're proposing to reduce the tax rate with this budget, which we'll actually vote on next month. Still, tonight? I'm sorry, I beg your pardon.
Proposed rate today.
Thank you for correcting me. We will vote on the proposed rate today, which is in the budget, and we'll vote on the budget today. And while we're proposing reducing the O&M tax rate, we had wanted to do it initially homestead exemption. That's something maybe we can look at in the future, but not for this year. That's something we can still keep in the back of our mind for next year and see what would be, if there'd be something that would be appropriate.
Speaking of the tax rate, our average home value last year in our district was, and I'm just gonna put it in round numbers, $369,000. This year, it's $398,000. Well, I've got two different numbers, so I'm gonna go with the higher one, $405,900. Last year's tax on that $369,000 home was $1,029.
Just from the mud tax.
Just from MUD, we don't have anything to do with
Right.
county or
No, just
school
clarify.
or anything
No, no,
else. With the increase this year in appraised value, $405,900, lowering the tax rate to 25 cents per hundred, that's lowering the tax bill to $1,014. So there is no increase in taxes on an average home now.
Individual
Homestead-
circumstances may vary, right?
That's exactly right. It absolutely depending on, but I just wanted y'all to have kind of a visual of that. We've kept the tax rate, or lowering the tax rate, even with the increase in everyone's value of their home. The taxes for Fernbluff MUD are very static.
Good.
And which also another thing I want to reiterate, we do have the lowest tax rate of definitely any MUD in this area. I am not sure, I haven't done the research for the rest of the state, but compared to Brushy Creek and some other MUDs, we definitely have the lowest tax rate.
Always worth pointing out. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of passing the budget as presented? All right, motion carries 5-0. Budget is passed. All right, agenda item 8B, proposed 2021 tax rate. General Manager, would you like to handle this one?
I'm sorry.
This is Suzanne.
Well, what's the tax rate that you're proposing that they adopt?
That's exactly right. My proposal is that we lower the tax rate to 25 cents per $100 value.
I'd like to make a motion that we lower the tax rate to 25 cents per $100 value.
Motion by Director Barnes.
I'll second that.
Second by Director Smith. Any further discussion? Any way you look at it, I think this is a win for the folks in the district and for managing the district too. We can get by on this.
Oh, for sure.
This is good government as far as I'm concerned. All right, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0 for the new tax rate, for the proposed tax rate, and then we'll finalize it next month.
Correct, you adopt your order next month.
All right, very good. At this time, I would like to call a public hearing for the proposed 2021 tax rate. Do we have a date when we?
Yeah, so your next meeting, which is September 14th, which is one day before your deadline to turn in your orders.
September 14th. Anyone want to turn that into a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
Then we have the public hearing on the proposed 2021 tax rate on September 15th.
All right, motion by Director Smith, seconded by Director Barnes. All in favor? Motion carries. By vote, we will have the tax rate hearing on September 14th. And then finally, agenda item 8F, engage auditor. Do we have a contract?
Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped one. Let's go to E. Authorize publication of notice of hearing on the proposed 2021 tax rate. I will move that we authorize publication of the notice of hearing on the proposed 2021 tax rate.
Second.
Second by Director Barnes. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Now, 8F. Do we have anything to engage the auditor?
I do not have a contract from him, but I have spoken with him. It will be at the same cost as last year. If the board is okay with that, I can, have the contract renewed. I think y'all can go ahead and engage him tonight based on the previous contract.
As long as there's no changes? Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion, second.
All right.
We're quick.
We'll do it by the hand raised. Director Smith with the motion, Director Stemko with the second to engage the auditor. All in favor? All right, very good. Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 9, Williamson County Road and Bridge. General Manager, do we have any updates?
I do not, other than, the Brush Creek section of Berryman Brushy Creek is very near completion. Olson Meadows Park is up and operational. They're just really tweaking some of the, last minute things there. Then they will, when weather gets a little bit better, begin to reseed the area, that we allow them to use for their trucks and such. The Harryman section, they are moving fast and furious on that section. As a matter of fact, they've made such amazing progress that they've decided to sort of move up, and close it down now, rather than waiting till the end of August. And they are opening it up on the weekend, but they're making very good progress on the Harryman section. It'd be great if they finish it early, it'd be super. But the section that most affects us, which of course is down at Olson Meadows, the parking lot and everything is very nice. I think that we've made a really good choice by combining those two parking lots. It worked better for the county, for the drainage area there and such, but it's done well, but that's pretty much my update.
Excuse me. Are they, do you know if they're gonna put any parking spots in the narrow section, parking along the curb?
I don't think so. As we know, people pretty much park how they want to down there. They will be striking it and such. My thought is we will have our handicap spaces, and then I'm going to have at least one space that has signage that says staff parking. It's very difficult for our guys if something happens down there and it's a busy time at Olson. There's nowhere for anyone to park, and at least at that point, I would expect people will probably park there anyway, but we can at least try and have.
Well, maybe something to consider and look at would be in that narrow part, because I've seen trucks with trailers parking there. Maybe that's where you reserve it, that way they can pull in with their trailer. It's a reserved spot right there.
That would be, I'll absolutely look at that. I'm a little bit concerned with the driveway at the farthest end. We talked about that would be an exit only just because of the way it is. It is more narrow. We're going to have to look at how we're going to sign that down there once it's all finished. But they've built it exactly the way that they proposed and that we approved, and we'll just wind up seeing how it works for everyone once it's finished.
And I assume the area that looks like it's all level, but dirt on the, I think it's the east side of the parking lot, that's where you're talking about them, RBC and everything. Makes sense.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, there were a lot of trucks and such down there.
Oh, yeah.
There was nowhere for them to go, and they've been very appreciative of the fact that we let them stage there.
I'm relishing the sounds of silence now.
Yes.
You know, we can hear them banging and
Oh, yeah.
people backing their trucks up and everything. Anyway, I don't know if you guys heard it, but I certainly did.
No, but we just hear roofing stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No,
True.
that go back. Okay. Good.
All right, very good. Let's see what's next on the agenda. General manager report and operations reports.
I'm just gonna kind of start my general manager's report with, this was a discussion that we had in the budget committee, that I want the other directors to know. I have declined in the increase in my salary this year. As you all know, my mother, is having some medical issues, so I asked, you know, just some grace, during this, because I will have to work from home some, I will have to, take care of some things with my mom, and in fairness to the district, I want to be very fair to the district. And so I very much respectfully decline. I appreciate the offer, but I'm good, okay? And I just wanted you all to kind of know that. We did the budget, the billing update. We have finished, our recurring credit card contacts to encourage our residents to re-sign up for their recurring credit cards, because, as y'all know, our billing and collection company changed their company, so their processing company can't trade tokens between processing companies. So anyway, we spent the better part of about 3 weeks contacting everyone, over 200 customers, email, phone, etc. We sent emails out, AVR sent emails out. I only have 7 customers right now that haven't responded to anything, but we'll protect them. Maybe they're just traveling a long time or something, but those 7 people will be taken care of. So I just wanted y'all to know that that is complete. Our parks, Jack was talking about it, and we're not only a little bit behind in the mowing, but we're very behind in the cleanup of our green belts. It's multifaceted, it's very difficult to find people. We have been very unsuccessful in being able to find laborers, as we've always hired in the past. So our 2 guys, as time permits, have been out there. It is complicated by the fact that many residents that lost trees and shrubs are throwing their dead trees and shrubs over into our green belts. So it's not just ours, we're having to clean up an awful lot of residents. We can even get one area completely cleaned up, which we did last week, totally gone. We go back 3 days later and there's a whole nother pothole. So I just want y'all to know, it's not that we're not doing it, it's just taking much longer. Due to the order that the district passed, regarding the ability of us to find people for debris, vandalism, whatever you would like to call it, in our green belts, I've been successful in having 2 residents clean their areas up, because I could tell, you know, which homes they came from. They were apologetic, they just thought, you know. But being able to say it's a $250 fine plus the cost of cleanup, they were more than willing to clean up their large tree pile.
Speaking of trees,
Yes.
the one on O'Connor, the big one, is that goes right near the railing.
O'Connor?
I don't,
Oh, that they cut a couple weeks ago?
what's that?
That fell into the street?
Well, it fell, that fell during the winter storm.
That's the tree you're talking about?
Yeah, but there's one that fell along the railing, the green railing, on O'Connor, just to the left of Morgan Hill.
Are you talking about over by your postal boxes or on the other side?
On the other side of the ravine, basically going across the ravine. So that's,
I don't
one of the residents last night, you know, said, hey, you know, that hasn't been cleaned up, and, you know, and then Fernbluff is saying it's Oak Brook, and Oak Brook, you know, and we're, because I brought it to your attention quite a while ago. So I'm curious.
That
who's-
area
who is-
right there, we need to go look at it.
Okay, let's do that,
Okay.
because if, you know, if we need to take care of it, then.
No, there's two lots right there that run along O'Connor, and two areas that are Oak Brook HOAs, and then it comes into the green belt.
Right.
So let's go look at it.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let me know when you're available.
October? Okay,
You know.
okay. That's all I have.
All right. Operations?
Oh, no, I do have one more thing, I apologize. As the general manager, I've been receiving calls from our residents that are concerned that there's a lot of information that is kind of floating around the district. They understand that, you know, for a government entity, we don't deal with social media, that's not where our communications go. But they're concerned that, quote, the other side is not being heard. And so they've just asked if we could put out something on the website, maybe a letter, something. And so I thought it might be a great idea for us to look at some recent events over the last 6, 7, 8 months and maybe come up with a letter from the president
I think that's fine,
with a little bit of history, but more talking about where we are, you know, currently. I'll be happy to work with you about it, mark
Sure.
some communication. But I think it would be a really good idea.
yeah. All right. I think it's a good idea as well.
Okay.
So we'll prepare mainly for the website.
Mhm.
I look forward to working on that. Operations, well, do we have anything to add?
Just one thing real quick. It seems like the state of Texas is jumping on the EPA bandwagon on emergency preparedness. So not to steal any of Zach's thunder or anything, but Senate Bill 3 is basically mandating that all water utilities prepare an emergency preparedness plan, similar to what Houston, Fort Bend County, Harris County have to do for hurricanes. Talks about power generators, you know, just the ability to provide a minimum of 20 pounds per square inch during emergency events. So that's just another little task that's been brought onto us. We have to submit our plan by March 1st of 2022 and implement it by July 1st of 2022. So they're on a real tight schedule. For us being a pass-through district, purchase a water system, the plan's already up here. I just need to formalize it. The template from the state will come out maybe later this week. That's what they're anticipating. So within the next couple of weeks, they should have a template out. I'll start working on it, and we'll comply with what we need to. So other than that, I mean, operations, we're hanging in there. So far, so good. Our water usages compared to previous, I mean, we're just looking at a 10-year history, and it's an anomaly. I mean, they're pretty low compared to where we should be. So, but other than that, I mean, everything we're hanging in there.
Is this state requirement basically just a plan, or is it a plan that will result in physical infrastructure changes?
Some infrastructure changes, with being a pass-through district, Oak Brook, there's a section, it's a pressure plane that is run by our pump station. We can survive without the pump station operating at the minimum 20 PSI. So what I'll be proposing is that we go ahead and add some switches, some automatic switches, or even manual switches to the pump station, to the water tower, and perhaps the community center. That way we can purchase some generators for those sites. Portables, not fixed generators. We did some pricing for some fixed generators, and pricing right now is just, I mean, insane. So, so yeah, the plan would be just to have generators enough to power our SCADA system and be able to monitor system pressure, you know, despite having no power. or whatever. So-
Those are the generators that were in the budget.
Correct.
Cool.
And when, I think you mentioned the date, the state expects you to present the plan to them or have it done. What was that date again?
Submit the plan by March 1st, 2022, and implement whatever you have in the plan by July 1st, 2022, so. Yeah, fairly tight schedule. Us being a small to medium-sized district, yeah, and having the support of the district, we have a lot of the tools and the know-how and, you know, just everything to get this stuff done, so. For us, it's gonna be, for the most part, just, you know, documenting the plan down, submitting it, and then having an electrician come out and install the switchovers, and then, you know, whenever we're expecting some kind of emergency or not, we'll have generators available to run our SCADA system and telemetry and stuff.
So question, community center, events. We're still scheduling those, we're keeping an eye on the Delta variant, but nothing's changed right now.
We're sort of letting the residents decide that for themselves. We do try to limit, we're not, you know, doing any 200 event. Most people don't want to do those anyway, but there are no mandates, and so we are still looking.
And then we'll continue to hold meetings here. Governor's orders that let us do remote meetings, that order's expired, correct?
August 31st expires, yes, sir. Yeah, so at that point, all the rules that have been suspended under the Open Meetings Act will go back into effect.
All right, very good. Next item on the agenda, Budget Committee. I think we've covered that. Director Barnes, you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think we covered most everything as far as the budget. In the packet, the P&L sheet is on page 18 and 19. I did want to point out that we are very under budget on almost every category on the P&L, so good job to the operations and general manager on that. So, yeah, looks like we're going into a new fiscal year very much in the black. So, very happy to report that.
Very good.
So you're saying I might be able to buy some more equipment?
I did not say that.
That's gonna fund that mandate. There it is, right there.
Roads Committee, do we have anything to add to what we've already discussed? Nothing? Parks and Recreation, Director Tyver, do you have anything?
Cleanup of virtually all of the storm damaged trees has been completed now in our parks. It will still be processed for a couple more weeks, and then after that, our parks will be cleaned up. The entire cleanup should be completed, and so our parks should be back to where they were before. Hopefully, all the work will be finished in a couple more weeks.
Okay. Very good. I'm going to circle back to the Deed Committee. Anything, Director Tyver, for the Security Committee?
The Williamson County deputies patrolled our parks and neighborhoods a total of 79 hours during the month of July. These patrols range from 5 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. And the reports that I all reviewed were all excellent. All the work was done well for the month.
All right, very good. Communications Committee, Director Smith, do you have anything you're going to try to get a list from? our landscape
From,
group?
for the garden.
And then we'll do the President's letter from the President.
Other than that, I guess I'm done.
Okay. Very good.
I've got a quick question. So on the website, Mark, are you in charge of updating the website, or is it James? Okay. All right. So I've got some ideas of some things that I want to talk to you about.
We've been working with the gentleman, obviously, that we've used for many years they're sort of having the same problem that many businesses in Texas, specifically the country, hiring people. Everybody's overworked. We just got a text from him today, so we'll be meeting with him next week. So if you will let me know. There is a lot of updates that need to be done. We had started a redesign, well, I won't go into it all. So yes, the website needs some serious work.
Fair enough. Okay, so next item up is the deed restriction committee. We do need to meet in executive session on that. So let me read our little spiel. The board of directors is authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act to convene in closed or executive session for certain purposes. The purpose for tonight will be receive legal advice from our counsel, from our attorney, section 551.071 of the government code. No votes will be taken in executive session. This session is just for legal advice from counsel. So at this time, I would like to, time is 6:58, I would like to move us into executive session. We'll need to clear the room and keep the board of directors here, legal counsel, and general manager, and the operator.